My word, that is the intro of the century. I was just wondering when you're going to climb in there, Luke.
I don't know if I am. I'm a little bit excited. Excuse me. And I've lost my voice there.
Or you were just post-birthday recovery there?
I am a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit dusty.
I might have pushed the boat out, I think is the saying, Phil.
Yeah.
Push the abacus out.
You pushed the abacus out?
Yeah.
Well, it is the 31st of March.
It is the 31st of March, and you are locked and loaded listening to the What's Next podcast. Luke Hemmies and Philip Smith from Next Advisory. If you don't know us, you probably should, but you're about to know us, because in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about something very, very important, and that is figuring out what you actually want. Now, this is inspired by a few conversations we've been having off the microphone, but
and recently too, eh?
Very, very recently. Just coming up a lot with business owners, with clients, with non-clients, with just people in general.
We've reflected a bit on the topics that we've covered on our podcast, and it is hopefully quite business orientated and how to give you pointers to get ahead. But we kind of have a bit of a reflection moment, didn't we? We were like, well, what happens if people don't want to get into business?
Yeah, maybe you don't.
Or you don't even know what you want.
Yeah, and even maybe you start a business that you don't even know if it's going to work. And the question before you do that is like, why are you doing that? And we see non-clients and people just gravitating towards selling something on the internet because somebody else is, and they haven't done any research as to whether it's even going to work or if people want what they're about to sell, and then they end up going on a journey of, what am I doing here? And I think the question to always ask is, why am I doing this in the first place?
And I think just touching on your point there, people see things on the internet, and they do, and the internet and social media in particular makes things look real easy.
Yeah.
And news alert, news flash, it ain't easy.
No.
If it was, we'd all be rolling around in Lambos.
Yeah, I said that to some friends last week. They were kind of chirping away at somebody that was importing and selling something at a high margin, and it was that kind of almost tall poppy conversation of like, oh, look at how much they must be making doing that. And I'm like, well, if it's that easy, boys, like, wouldn't everyone be doing it? Oh, no one said it was easy. Yeah, but you're still whinging about someone having a crack, what's going on here? So, weird. But unfortunately, that's the world that we live in, and people just think, well, a lot of people think that things are easy, but we know that to really perform at a high level and to succeed, it is hard, and it takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and likewise, I caught up with a person I know from a previous role, and they've climbed into the business journey, and one of the first things that they said to me was it was much harder than they expected, and their expectation was that they would be able to get their product and just sell it and make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was just
Should
like,
it be good if it was like that?
Oath.
Yeah.
And he was blown away by just how many pieces there are to the puzzle that is business.
Mm.
And he comes from a business background, and is well educated, and I was blown away by the comments around just the acknowledgement of just how hard that journey was, and just all the problems that they just had not anticipated, and just thought, right, sweet, we do this, and then we're printing money.
Yeah, and it's not the case.
Nah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I think, how do we get people to stop and actually think about what they want from their life before thinking about what they want from their business? And Mikey talked about it in a recent podcast we did with him, when we did the interview with him.
Yep.
And I think he explained, think about what you want in the future and then reverse engineer how you're going to get there. But it doesn't seem like a conversation people have all too often of really trying to build a picture of the life or the things that they want in their life, does it?
Nah, and it was something I was thinking on after he said that, and in the hour, or the evening afterwards, I was like, man, I wish I knew some of the stuff that I've learned in recent years when I was much younger, and it got me thinking, why isn't this stuff being taught to our kids?
Yeah,
even young adults. going into making that decision of whether they go to university or do something else. Whether you go and get an apprenticeship or go and work at McDonald's or Pack and Save, whatever it is. Where's that education of showing people are going, like, this is what you need to work out and this is what you need to understand about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think Mikey's thing of going, this is what my future self looks like, or this is what I want, and working backwards, that's an absolute gold nugget.
Yeah, powerful way.
Yeah, it is. And if you can use it, and I think I asked him during the podcast whether he's still got it, and I'm pretty sure he said he did, but he's halved the time or reduced the time. I think he said it was 45 down to 40 was his goal. But a document like that, if it's a live document, is front and center and becomes very powerful and motivating.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wake up, you're going to look at it, you're going to fall asleep looking to it, and it's going to center you, I think, in terms of going, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because this is what I truly want.
Yeah.
And he's invested, by the sounds of things, a significant amount of time in working that out. And I don't think very many people do.
Nah, I spent some time, I've heard someone that I listen to often talk about having a vision board, and they have it in their bathroom. So they see it every morning when they shower.
In the bathroom?
Yeah, to remind them.
Whoa.
So you usually get up in the morning, go to the toilet, then shower, and it's in like that clear file or whatever.
Yep.
I'm like, great concept. And I'm like, hang on, Luke, why haven't you done anything about this? If it's truly a great concept and you believe that that's the thing to do, well, what are you doing? And so I spent some time at the start of this year trying to build like a picture of some of the things that I want from my life, and to remind myself, yep, those are the things that I do want. So as simple as basically Googling some things like beach house, for instance,
and
just having people that are happy around me, people that work hard, don't complain too much, all those types of things that are important to me, and just putting them into like one graphic so that I could see it and jog my memory. So that was at the start of the year, and then literally on the plane on the way back from Bulawanaka on the weekend, I thought, why don't I put that on my front screen of my phone?
Naughty.
And the reason I don't is because I'm scared. I'm scared what people are going to ask me when they see it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hang on, mate, you've been a dickhead. You shouldn't be worried about what people think. So I'm like, let's do it. So then I sat there for 10 minutes on that bloody plane trying to figure out how to get the perfect size of a screenshot to be able to...
not easy.
You try on the iPhone?
Done that actually just a week or so ago with an image, because I've updated my wallpaper.
Yeah.
And I had to have a couple of 3 goes at it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I cropped it just the right size, and I go and get it, and it ballooned right up. And I'm like, hang on.
Yeah, so what's happened here?
Yeah, had to go back and take a few takes. Clearly, graphic design and that type of thing is not a strong point. I didn't take those subjects at school.
Me, horrendous. So I think for me to be able to do that, I had to be able to actually have some thoughts about, okay, the things that I want. And I think as well, and I almost want to stop talking like this because I feel like maybe I'm allowing people to believe this, but that whole sort of tall poppy thing and push Kiwis down, and maybe that's why people don't want to be too open about the things they want from their life, because they're scared that they're going to offend somebody else, or they're going to make themselves sound like they want something that's unattainable, and they're going to get challenged. Well, how the hell are you going to do that? And so then they just don't dream big. And I wonder if that's part of why people don't truly think about the things that they want or voice them to other people.
I think growing up, and like I said before, I certainly wasn't exposed to it, not through, not that I recall through my upbringing. And if my sister or any of my family's listening to this, that they might be able to go, no, hang on a minute, Phil. You might remember this time. But look, I've got a pretty good memory.
You do.
Yeah. And nothing's flashing back. And certainly, I was fortunate enough to go to, dare I say it, a private school, a private boys' school.
Are you listening, ladies and gentlemen? It is Philip Smith on the other end.
Yeah. No names mentioned, but it's based in Pakuranga. You'll let you work that one out for yourselves. Nothing that I can recall around building up what I would consider some life skills to strengthen you before you go into that next stage. And it was for me, and looking at other people, it's the word should. What should I do?
Yeah.
And I think that often comes back to going, well, what makes you comfortable?
Yeah, nice.
And I think that's the problem, because you're then coming into a box-ticking exercise, because it's like, well, I should go to university. Well, do you want to go to university?
Probably not.
2 different things. well, you should go to university because you're probably going to make your parents happy.
Yeah.
Well, do you have to make your parents happy?
No.
Or is it more important to make yourself happy first?
Oh, preach it.
Yeah, like some people are
deep.
going to listen to this. Is going to be confronting as fuck.
Yeah.
F-bomb.
Yeah. Good.
But
Needed.
it's the truth. And, you know, I'm lucky enough now. I've got 3 kids. And I will put no pressure on them to go to university.
Yeah.
Even though my wife did. She's got a Bachelor of Education. And obviously I've got a business degree. I'm a chartered accountant. Whoopty fucking shit. But, you know, no pressure. And our eldest the other day, she was mentioning about joining the police force.
Yeah.
Shocked me.
Wow.
Keen on doing the dog stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, wow. So, okay, if that's what you want to do. Then recently it's like, oh, you know what? I might actually be a nurse. I'm like, I'll rip into it.
Yeah.
And the middle fella, I reckon he'd be keen on ripping into gaming for life.
Yeah.
But trying to educate him on the you need to be the 1%. That's tough.
Yeah.
But he'd be keen on, I reckon, being a builder or a digger driver or something like that. He's big into that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he could see himself being a copper. He talks about that.
Wow.
But at the moment, nothing that requires them to go to university.
Far out.
Yeah. It's just like, well, what's going to make you happy?
So you're just going to let them just navigate their own path.
Go and
figure
roam.
out-
Yeah. Work out what it is that drives you, motivates you.
Yeah.
What's going to get you out of bed every single damn day?
Because I think that once you start to understand what you want from your life, like it's easier, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
And I look at people that they go to a restaurant and they can't decide what they want. And I'm like, how does this play out in the rest of your life? Like that would be confronting for some people to hear. But like if you can't make decisions quickly, in that example, how are you going to use it? Like, do you have a framework to be able to do it in other areas of your life? So like maybe that's a telltale sign if you can't figure out what you want when you've got a list of the things you can potentially have. You know, it's a micro example of it. There's no reason why you can't take that example and shape it for the rest of your life.
Mate, and saying that though, when it comes to fitting out your house post-reno,
Yeah.
oh, there's some decisions to work through.
A lot to choose from.
Oh, geez, colour of this, colour of that, brand of this, brand of that.
That'd be horrible.
And, gee, the price tags that are attached to things, it's like, man, bring on the old Google. Let's see if we can get this price down.
Really? Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. You go to a big brand retailer and you can buy Smeg, right? This fancy brand of bloody toasters and
Jugs.
Yeah. The old fancy water boilers. All up, you'd probably be spending close to $500 for 2 things.
Really?
Yeah, I think the toaster was $2.99 and the jug was $200. I didn't buy them.
Does it butter it too?
Jesus, I wish it did.
Spreads the peanut butter.
I was like, man, whatever happened to like a $50 toaster from Briscoe's?
Yeah.
But admittedly, these things did look cool. And Grace is the type of person, she'll be listening to this and go, Phil, you're the most indecisive person out there.
Yeah.
And admittedly, one of my top 5 strengths, my number 1 is deliberative. So
Yeah.
I will think.
Yeah.
But I use it to my advantage. And I pushed back and I was like, nah, we're not going to commit. And I'm pleased I did because we went away, jumped on the interweb, found a different brand that looks better features, and much cheaper. Well, I shouldn't say much cheaper, but cheaper. And delivered.
Nice.
Happy days.
Smart. Yeah, see, I wouldn't go to that level of detail. I'm not smart enough. Don't have that skill set. I tell you who else toasts things really well, and that's our friends at Amano.
I love it how you slip that in there. We're up at Omaha at the moment, folks. And Amano's down in Auckland. How are you coping? Withdrawals sitting in?
I haven't been to Amano for a bit, nor have I mentioned it on a pod for a bit. And I just thought, our friends at Amano, we probably should get it in there. I think they've sold recently.
They have.
Group.
And g'day to the new business owners.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a sponsorship slot,
we can talk.
get in touch. LMP at Next Advisory.
We're happy to take all offers. Go on, Amano. Back to the topic at hand. So, I think
We know what we want, and that's coffee.
we do. We'll be going to get one after this too. There's people out there playing golf. They knew that they wanted to play golf today. So,
Yeah, and it's pissing with rain.
So people can do this. They can think about what they want. They probably didn't want it to be raining, but they can't control that bit. So you think about the things that you do want, then you get to work on the things you can control.
And I think it's being at a point in your life going, I'm in a current state, and the state that I'm in at the moment, I'm not satisfied with, and I actually want something better for myself.
Nice.
And to actually sit back and realize that, and then 2, take the steps to work through that process.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a bit of a process there to work through, and it's not something I don't think that would take a quick amount of time or a short amount of time. It's something that's going to evolve over a long period of time. And, as Mikey said the other day, his has changed, even from when he originally wrote it down.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if there's a Lambo on his list. I reckon there is.
There is, yeah. I've heard him talk about a Lambo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him mentioning the Lambo.
He didn't
I wonder if he's...
Yeah.
God, I bet you it's on his list.
We can find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think our business owners should understand, and everybody should understand, that it's possible.
Everybody, yep.
Yeah, like everything's
and as
possible.
much as we, you beat down on employees, because let's be honest, there's some employees out there that taint all other employees and give you a bad reputation. It's like in the landlord versus tenant situation. You get tenants out there that do some real dumb stuff, and they taint the reputation of every other tenant. And then tenants are painted out to be bad people, just like landlords are. And I think it's the same thing with the employee-employer thing. Oh, they're a shit boss.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, well, you're a shit employee because you just got that shitty employee attitude.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah. God, Parnell flashbacks. But, if what I'm trying to say is that it's not bad if you're going to go on a career.
Yeah.
And go, right, I'm going to be a nurse, or I'm going to be, I'm going to work at a cafe, or you're going to be the employee, but you can still work out what it is that you want.
Mm.
And that is okay to go down that pathway. But, make sure that by working out what you want, you're going to be happy.
Oh, I'm glad you got there, because that was what I was thinking is, what brings you happiness? And figure out what you want, not what someone else wants. Like, do the work. Figure out for yourself what things are important to you. The things that are important to me are different to what's important to Phil.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to have amazing conversations discussing like how we look at things differently and the things that we want and need from life, and we're in different situations. And so that's the fun thing about it. And then you try and shape your life and your business or even your job to be able to help you achieve those things.
Mm.
But if you don't know what you want, then it's like you don't know where you're going. You just get in the car and hope that it gets you to somewhere.
And I think for some people, if they sit down and work through the process, it can look like it's just $2,000, and it's just like, no, I can't do that.
$2,000 or $2,000? Too big.
Yeah, too big.
Yeah.
Whew, a couple of accountants. And then that's can be scary, and it gets you out of your comfort zone, and then it's going to stop any action.
Mm.
And I would suggest that if you've got that end outcome in mind, the next step, as Mikey suggests, is then break it down into its smaller components and then get real granular.
Yep, nice.
And then, even down to a week to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do this week, and then this is what I'm going to do today, this one small thing that if we add them up every single day, it's going to lead towards this desired outcome. And in Mikey's case, a Lambo.
Yeah.
Is one of them, I assume.
Yeah. Go on, Mikey. Tell us if you want the Lambo or not. But, yeah, and I think you said something really powerful earlier too before we jumped on here about, like, often we'll see business owners, they'll add in new features or new service lines or try and keep someone happy in their business, and then they run themselves in all these different directions. And then you always say, stop and think about what or why did you get into business in the first place? Is this, when you set this business up, is this what you wanted to be doing? And quite often business owners are like, shit, no, like I hadn't thought about that. Why am I doing this? I didn't even want to do this. This isn't what I set up or set out to start doing. So how did I get here? And you get pushed around by the market or customers and things like that, right? Rather than doing
it's
what
amazing
you want.
how is it, and that's I'm pleased you brought that up. I'd actually forgotten I mentioned that.
I gotcha.
Yeah. No, but, for people in business, I think it's pretty easy to then, once you've got a business and it's going okay, it's then going, right, well, what's my next opportunity? And I think there can be a tendency then for business owners to go, and greed comes to mind, and go, like, what's the quick win that I can grab? Because you've done what is perceived to be the hard work, and that is you've started a business and it's profitable and you're employing people and you're doing okay, and then going, right, what's the next thing? And just go, right, how can I make more money? And another example on the back of that is sitting down with a client end of last year, and then they mentioned to me an opportunity that they had across their product line, and I really challenged them on it. And I said, does this fit with your brand and your values and why you started your business?
Love it.
And they hadn't considered that perspective at all. And it was all just about, well, we can do this and get it into these different channels, and would broaden their reach and probably increase their volumes. But then challenging them on it and going, well, why and does this fit with why you went into business? And they're very strong on their values, very strong, family-owned business. And they went away, and interestingly, it hasn't been brought up since.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't forgotten about it. Shock.
Is the memory.
And intend on bringing it up with them and just going, this is what we last spoke about it. What are you doing? Is it off the table, or are you going to take a different approach? Because, as much as they had this idea, it's like, well, okay, if you want to do this, here's some alternative ways that you could get a similar outcome but a different path of going there.
Yeah.
Whilst maintaining all of the things that are important to you.
Nice. Those distractions that come across us, and it's
distractions, yeah, the DA.
Big D. Not every opportunity is an opportunity for you.
Oof.
It doesn't have to. You don't have to take it.
Just the power of saying no, eh?
Yeah. I learned about this the other day, and I thought it's a great way to explain it. Is that because I often do this, like we've talked about this a number of times, where people want to meet with me, and I'll think, shit, mate, I need to do this because I just don't know what it could lead to, and I'm like, Then that only took me so far. Then I'm like, man, I wasted heaps of time. So then I'm trying to scale back or put framework around how to do it properly. And then I heard someone say, you don't go swimming and then be like, oh man, that was such a waste of a swim. I missed out on all the other opportunity to touch all the rest of the ocean. You only need that one piece of the water to swim in to get your desired outcome. So you're never going to know what it feels like to say yes to all of those opportunities and stuff, because it's unlimited anyway. That's
deep.
Yeah.
It's got me thinking. Like, I get the concept of you going swimming, but you're just in that patch of water.
Yeah. Like you're always going to miss out on something.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's just the nature of the game.
Yeah. So
and you've got to be prepared to accept that.
And you don't know what your swim would have been like if you jumped in that bit of the water compared to this one and stuff. And
yeah, as long as it's not down by Bowen Town.
No, sounds scary with those big great whites, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My word.
Tough video to watch. Well, I think that people can practice figuring out what they want, and I think people do it and they don't think about it. And it's going back to that menu example, for instance. Like, we're constantly deciding on a small scale the things that we want just about every day. What do I want to do? What do I want to eat? What do I want to watch? What do I want to consume? Like, we're actually practicing it. So we're doing it, but I think we forget that we're doing it and don't take any time to pause and reflect and go, hang on, like, am I just an autopilot here? Or is this taking me towards what I really want? And then what is that I want?
Oh, autopilot, that's really good, because I think that's pretty easy to do. When you're young, and this goes on to, I can get horribly distracted here, but the pathway that young Kiwis are taken down, that, you grow up, you get married, that's not so important these days. Well, it's become probably less important than it was probably when I got married. But then, to buy a house.
Yeah.
And then get a good job. And then it's just like, right, I've got to get up and go to work because I've got a mortgage to pay for. And then that's me for the next 40, 50 years.
Yeah. That breaks my heart thinking about that. Just because that's not my goal. That's not what I want.
But before jumping on the mic, and we were talking about this topic, I quickly plugged into Google, work out what you want.
Yeah.
Thinking, right, Google always surprises me. There's got to be something. Did not disappoint. And I started typing work out what you, and then it started pre-filling it. So it's obviously something that Google knows people are searching for.
Yeah.
Came up with 7.3 billion results in less than half a second.
Wow.
And on the first page, I had a good scroll. There's some really good content on there.
Yeah.
Practical stuff.
Nice.
On, people that have been through similar things and gone, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm not happy.
Yes.
No, that's it. But that's it.
It's exactly right.
You know, I'm just that. There's that video that you shared with me on YouTube 3.5, 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
About taking risks, and there's a line in there about walking corpse.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's just a walking corpse because they're just getting up, going through the routines, coming home, going to bed, Groundhog Day the next day.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's that taking risk piece where you need to remove, and I was reading it before, the shoulds and replace it with, you know, wants and you and happiness.
Nice one.
And it comes down to, you know, who gives a shit what other people think?
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, I think you've got to be prepared to accept the fact that you're going to lose relationships along the way.
Based on the things that you want.
Yeah.
That might conflict other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, by going down the pathway of what you want is going to open up other doors and new relationships.
Yeah.
That are then aligned with the journey that you're going on.
I'm doing a webinar for my Keep the Change community next week around.
Yeah, I think I've seen some content online about that.
And looks like it's popular because
Well, you're a popular guy.
Thanks, mate. Side hustles and business, and right at the start, I've got some slides about, you know, why you're actually doing this and the mindset that it takes.
Yeah,
and to not fall into that trap of buying 100 drink bottles because you want one and you think, well, 99 other people must want one as well, and then realizing, shit, nobody else wants this drink bottle. I'm a failure. Then you've got to deal with all of that stuff. It's figure out what the market wants and then have a crack at that. Do it the other way. So go through some practical stuff like that. But a couple of quotes to put in at the end, which I think you'll like, you just reminded me about there, is we have the chance in life to make a living or design a life.
Whoa.
Get that in you.
My word.
Get that right in you.
I was on Instagram this morning, and the first thing that came into my feed was...
wait for it.
Shit, I bet you I won't be able to find it. And it was...
You probably screenshotted
it. Added it to a collection. It probably won't come up, but it's that Tom...
Bill you?
Yep.
Something like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's interviewing a guy, and the guy's talking about deal structure. Did you see it?
No.
And I thought, well, this grabs my interest because it's like, you know, it's how do we make a deal? How do we structure a deal?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff floats my boat a little bit. And he took it to the context of deal structure doesn't need to be limited to the business context. It can apply to employees. And just because you are in a job and you're getting paid a wage doesn't mean you can't structure a deal that's going to get you ahead.
Love that.
If you're on Instagram, search this guy out, watch the short little piece. There's a lot of learnings there.
Yeah.
In terms of setting stretch goals, that if the company's got a target of X on volume or sales or whatever it is, and you say to them, look, if I can 2 times this or 3 times this, or whatever the case may be, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And then structure a deal. And it's absolutely fascinating. And he gives a whole heap of examples.
Wow. I heard something similar for employees to think about. Instead of not being in control of the pay process, approach your employer and say, hey, here's what I want. This is the amount of money that I want. What do I need to do to earn that? And put it back on them. Go, okay, so if I can do all those things, how long, can we put a 6-month time frame on this and build your salary yourself?
Yeah, shit hot.
Tough conversation to have. Definitely something I probably wouldn't have been brave enough to.
Nah.
But something I reckon that not many people would do, but I reckon the ones that do, there are a heap of lessons there because you can probably find ways that you can actually, help them generate revenue and then get paid for it in return. But speaking of Tommy B that you just mentioned, the next quote I was going to say comes from an interview where he's interviewing, I think the guy's name's James something, and he wrote that Atomic Habits. Hell of a book if you haven't read it, those listening. Put that on your to-do-zy list. He says you can be the architect of your habits rather than the victim of them.
Oh.
And I think that's so powerful. Jeez. Yeah. So if you...
But that's just that victor versus victim, above the line, below the line stuff, isn't it?
So have
that's
a look
a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, have a look at the habits that you've built for yourself and whether you're a victim of them or whether you can change some habits and actually become the architect of them to build then the things that you want, because that's what architects do, right? They help us get the things that we want. They make them possible.
And you don't need to go to university, folks, to be this kind of architect.
No, you don't.
My word.
So build your own life and figure out what it is that you want from your life, because I think this is something that people need to do continually, like you've said earlier, and then like Mikey does, think about it at different stages and go, actually, I don't want that anymore. It's not something I want. And it doesn't have to be done once and then you're finished with it. I suppose it's probably why people set resolutions and things to think about what it is that they want, but then they fall back into their habits and they become a victim of them rather than being the architect.
Oof.
What a powerful way to finish.
My word, there
gold.
was a few gems in there.
There was.
Yeah.
It's nice just to sit down and get deep into it and look into each other's eyes and figure out how can we help people figure out what they want.
There we go.
Thanks
luck,
for tuning
folks.
in. Yeah.
Go and get it done.
Go and get it done. Do
We'd
the
love
work.
to hear your feedback. LNP at nextadvisory.nz. Smash that 5-star button. Look forward to tuning in next time.
Practice. Think about it. Always chase happiness. I think that should trump everything. Just my opinion. You might be different, you listeners, but just think about what you want. Hey, mate, do you want some lunch?
Yeah, let's do it. Amano?
Damn it. We're in Omaha. We can't go to Omaha. Oh, we're still recording. Shout out to Amano.